we have the review done, and I have the timer. Are we ready for story time?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. So, you guys pulled up in this bus. From what you can tell in the dark, the house is pretty nondescript. Walls, roof, windows. It's a house. But even in the dark, you can see cracks, and the paint that was surely white years ago is now faded and flaking. It's got quite a front door on it. It's metal. Poxo punches in a code on a keypad next to it to unlock it. And then you all head inside this house. And once you're inside, he closes the door, punches a couple of buttons on a keypad next to that, and does one last peek out the window.
Can I do an investigation to see what numbers he punches it?
Sure, you could pay attention, but he does it rather rapidly. I doubt you would be able to reproduce it. Once the door is closed, he turns around and just grins widely at all of you. He looks like this is the greatest day of his life. So the living room is large, or maybe it just feels that way because there's no furniture in it. There's pillows and beanbags all over the floor. The walls are covered in tapestries and posters, paintings, drawings. There's a coffee table up against the wall on two of the walls. So 2 coffee tables, 2 walls. There are 3 floor lamps in the room, and there's a large old beat-up trunk sitting in one corner. And the room smells much like the bus did. Spicy, herbal, earthy, and this room, unlike the bus, is kind of musty. The living room opens up to a dining area and a kitchen on the right, and it didn't occur to me until I was rehearsing this yesterday that, yeah, I'm more or less visualizing the layout of this room. Except instead of the kitchen being on that side, it's on that side, and it's more open. It's not just a little doorway. And then over there in the dining area, it's like a totally different house. There's a large desk with 4 screens sitting on it, a keyboard, boxes with blinking lights and stuff, a huge mess of papers. And there's a bookshelf next to the desk with 100 or so books and odd items in the empty places. These walls aren't covered, but there is a lot of stuff. There's a variety of charts, maps, one big topographic map with pins in it. And a tidy cot sits in one corner with a blanket and a pillow very neatly made. And sitting at the desk, there's a man with a shaved head with his back to you. From the living room is a hallway, and again, I did this by accident. There is a hallway on this living room, but again, on their living room, it's on that side. Even from the front door, you can see into the kitchen that there's a sink full of dirty dishes, and dirty dishes next to the sink, and dirty dishes on the counter across from the sink. So once you all get in, Poxo looks toward the desk and says, "Vril!" The man in the chair turns around. He looks to be about the same age as Poxo, early 30s. He scans all of you, and then he looks at Poxo. This man is dressed conservatively. He's got a white button shirt with short sleeves, black necktie, black slacks, black shoes. He's just glaring at Poxo. Poxo says something very excited. Vril says something impatient. Poxo says something persuading. Vril says something fed up. You can't understand their words, but it's clear that this is a scene between the two of them that has played out many times. Vril stands up and just marches out the front door, which he slams shut. And then you hear the bus start up and leave. Poxo doesn't look the slightest bit embarrassed over this scene. He says a couple of things to you. Obviously, you can't understand him, but it sounds like maybe an explanation for Vril's reaction, or maybe a brief summary of the history of similar interactions. But it doesn't sound disparaging, just explanation. He then looks at all of you, deciding what to do next. He opens his mouth to say something, but sighs with futility. He shrugs, punches a few buttons on the door, and a green light on the control panel begins steadily blinking. He walks over to a closet and pulls out a heap of blankets. Remember, it's nighttime. and starts pulling them apart and handing one to each of you, and motions to the floor. And then he walks around touching each lamp, causing them to dim, then walks over to the corner with the trunk where a blanket already lays. He sits down, cross-legged, wraps the blanket around himself, and leans back against the wall thinking, with a big smile like a man whose all of his dreams have just come true. So what do you guys want to do now?
I would like to look at Verge. What was that guy's name?
Brill.
Vrill. I'd like to look at his desk.
Okay. You can
Clean up the place.
clean up the place.
Find an extra gun.
Huh?
Look for a gun of dishes first of all.
You could clean the dishes. Well,
Oh
now,
my.
keep in mind, it is very late at night, and Poxo seems to think you all should be going to bed. Let's start with this, go over to the desk thing.
Should I do an investigation roll?
No, because there's really nothing to find there. I'll just, I'm trying to think what might be of interest. I mean, as far as the books on the shelf, they're obviously in a language you don't understand. As far as the maps and charts and drawings on the wall, you can't make much sense of them. There's the large topographic map with pins in it. Your first assumption would be that that is...
And some kind of like the local area, and he's visiting someplace.
That's what I assumed you would assume.
Are the books merely text, or are there like schematics in them? Do they look like they might have some kind of mathematical formulas?
Okay, fair enough.
Pictures.
Let's see. For that, you can give me a roll.
Investigation?
Yep.
Okay, and I'm -1 because of my meds. So that's
No.
okay, then a 9.
A 9. Okay, so that's a success. So, fair enough. Yes, they appear to be very brainy books. There's a lot of, as you flip through them, there's a lot of like celestial kind of stuff. This guy is obviously interested in the sky, the galaxy. There are also books that contain pictures of things that are like ruins. So apparently he's interested in history. But typically these books focus more on the various symbols that can be found in the hieroglyphics and stuff like that. That it's not just coolest places in the world. It's like these books are maybe trying to make a case for something. And 9, you said? And I'll leave it at that. That's about as far as you get. When Poxo says something, calling over your direction, kind of sounds something along the lines of, you shouldn't be messing around over there. He even says the name Vrill in there. So you could probably take it as Vrill's going to get upset if he sees somebody digging through his stuff.
Okay. I'll go to bed then.
Yeah.
Okay? And you can hold off on the cleaning thing, but that's a good
You
inclination.
should wake up early.
Yeah. So, let's say you guys get
Wait,
comfy.
did I take any bombs with me?
No. No. I mean, you can only carry so much anyway. So let's say that you guys are getting yourself comfy when suddenly Poxo remembers something and opens the trunk. He digs through for several moments and pulls out a folder and hands it out to whoever wants to take it.
I'll take it.
So he hands it to Hira. Inside are several drawings, obviously drawn by a child. I mean, not a 4-year-old, but still very simplistic. They're very old and yellowed and faded, and the dim lights in the room don't help either. Most of them are drawings of people, but the last one causes you to freeze. And a moment goes by before you even remember to breathe. This picture, this drawing, is obviously supposed to be a ship almost identical to yours. It's a child's rendering, but there's no question it's a ship very much like yours. You look up at Poxo, and he says, "Tira stava, cabo, que lean tiras fajan vesticie."
I want to point at the picture and point at Poxo and say, Poxo,
Cas.
seems like Poxo has witnessed the shipping route then, maybe when he was a child.
Or he can see into the future. I don't know, am I barking up the wrong tree? Don't start barking.
GM face.
Is there any part of the room that's kind of dark?
It's all fairly dark. It's all pretty dim.
Do the people look like us?
I don't see why they would. Did you want to take another look at the pictures of people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there is one that catches your attention because the guy in it is darker than the others. Dark skin, dark eyes, dark hair.
Like my color?
Why? What is your color?
Oh, I'm olive skinned, I guess. Is this more like dark, dark?
No,
Blue eyes.
it could be olive skin.
Could be olive skinned. How about what are the, can we determine like at least gender of the others?
One of them is a woman, and she's got lighter colored hair.
How many people are there in total?
5.
5 people.
Does one have a gun?
No, these are headshots. It's just like from here up. But as you're going through, actually it becomes very obvious that yes, they all have that in common. From what you can see of their collar, it does look like the top of a jumpsuit.
Are they all 5 adults?
Yeah.
Oh,
So you got one that's got darker skin than the rest, dark eyes, dark hair. One is a woman and she's got lighter hair. There is another one that has very dark, maybe black hair.
What color eyes?
You really can't tell that sort of thing, but they're lighter. I mean, again, looks like they were drawn by a 10-year-old.
I want to point at the one that might have dark skin and say, point to myself in the picture.
Kas!
yes.
And I'll hold up the woman one, say, Hira.
Kas?
Alright, let's do the dark haired one with brown eyes.
Yeah.
Okay, he will say the same thing for each of you.
Okay, and then the 5th person
So
I want
which
to
one?
point at
Jex?
with like a questioning look.
Yeah, he returns the questioning look. Like, where's that one? The one that doesn't match you guys, again, drawing of a 10-year-old, they all kind of look alike. That could be shaggy unkempt hair in that picture. Now, there's a thing going on here. The more you guys look at these pictures, the more you think it's you guys.
Oh.
You know how that works.
Okay. Well, Poxo at least seems to think it's us.
Despite Poxo's excitement, you can tell he's getting sleepier and sleepier.
I'm gonna go to bed.
Yeah. I want to, tomorrow, we should try to communicate with Poxo by drawing and see how, if we can, if his drawing has improved since then. It could be that he did it last year, or it could be that he did it when he was 10, or...
I'll go ahead and say that, no, these pictures are really old.
Oh, okay.
Very old and yellowed and faded,
Okay.
is what it says. So, I mean,
Definitely more than a year old.
yeah, and I just don't see how it could possibly be you guys. So. So that's it. You lay down, stare up at the ceiling, going, now what could this all possibly mean?
Yeah, sure.